Hi everybody, it's Tuesday, April 13th, 2010. Thanks for stopping by. I want to talk to you a little bit about these books that I have just finished reading not too long ago. One of them I got from Ali Abunimah, One Country, A Bold Proposal to End the Israeli-Palestinian Impasse. And it's a great book, very convincing arguments. This is really a declaration of where the future is going. This is you know basically the only way to solve the conflict, and it's really a simple concept. It's just democracy, equality, international law, respect for human rights. That is the way that you can solve this seemingly intractable conflict. And two-state solution is just nonsense. It's a pipe dream. And it's a good thing it's a pipe dream, because it's really an unjust solution. It's way too nationalistic, way too ethnic sectarian. You know, the problem now is we have an ethnic sectarian state, so the solution is to create two ethnic sectarian states. I don't think so. I think Ali Abunimah has it right. The other book that I read was the one that I got from the Bay City Library, believe it or not. When they had the book sale, this is The New Intifada, Resisting Israel's Apartheid. And this is a little bit dated. I mean, it comes from, it was written while the Second Intifada was going on. It was published in 2001. And it's a collection of articles by different authors. Like one of them was co-written by Abunimah, one was written by Edward Said, one was written by Robert Fisk, and there's a lot of very interesting information about what was happening on the ground during the Second Intifada, and it was really eye-opening and shocking, even to me, to hear, to read some of the things that were happening. For instance, how if you are in the West Bank, or if you were in the West Bank, you were constantly being asked for papers. Like the famous stories about Nazi Germany, where they were always asking people, papers please. And they were asking people for papers. They were shooting people. They were playing games where they would see if they could hit Palestinian children in the eye with rubber bullets and knock their eyes out. I mean, that was a game, a way to show prowess at marksmanship, which is just amazing. And one thing that I remember about this book, one very interesting piece of information which I learned, was that international law is basically a joke. We all know that. But the fact is that Israel, if international law meant anything, would not be in the UN at all. I mean, that's amazing. We all know how much Israel violates international law, and how they basically thumb their nose at the UN. They are constantly violating UN mandates and UN resolutions. But they shouldn't even be in the UN, because when Israel was accepted into the UN, they were accepted with two very specific stipulations: that in order to become a member of the UN, they must withdraw to the 1948 partition lines and allow all of the Palestinian refugees to return to their homes. These were two conditions. There may have been other conditions, I can't remember, but these were two conditions for Israel joining the UN. And so far, they have yet to do that. So technically, if international law meant anything, they would not be in the UN right now. And, I find it sort of interesting the people are always talking about President H.W. Bush when he talked about a new world order. And, if you actually listen to the speech where he talks about the new world order, it's very striking that he's only talking about a very simple thing. He's talking about a credible United Nations, an international law which everyone respects, that the world would be run by the laws of man and not the laws of the jungle, basically, is what he said. That's the New World Order. Now, I don't know if there's any dark side to that or any conspiracies or anything like that. I don't even know about all that. But what I do know is what he basically said, that the New World Order was a civilized world run by a set of common law. That's the New World Order. Okay, and isn't it funny that while he was talking about this, he, like every other American president, was actively undermining that idea. He was actively undermining the New World Order that he was talking about he was going to create, because the U.S. doesn't care about international law. We don't abide by international law, and neither do our client states like Israel. They know, because they're our client state, that they can disobey international law all they want. If it wasn't for us, there's no way they'd even think about that. I mean, think about it. There's a small country, in the middle of an area where they'd have no diplomatic ties. They don't have any friends in the area because they've actively tried to, distance themselves from everybody and create enemies for themselves in the region. Their entire history. Without us, there's no way they could act that way and just thumb their nose at international law. There's no way. They'd be under sanctions. They'd be having a hard time right now, but they don't because of us. And, so basically, we don't have to worry about Bush's New World Order because he must have never taken it seriously to begin with. Otherwise, our foreign policy would have changed, right? I mean, we would start actually strengthening the UN instead of using it as legitimization of our power, which is all it is. Okay, so anyway, that's what I think about the New World Order. And also, I'd like to say that yesterday on Democracy Now! There was a guy who was a member of the company which was kind of tangentially involved in the murder of the 15 or so Iraqi civilians. 2 of them were employees of Reuters, a photographer and a driver. And he was a conscientious objector. He had actually disobeyed a direct order the day before that attack took place, and they didn't trust him anymore, so they left him at the base because he followed his conscience instead of following orders, which is what you're supposed to do, right? So they left him at the base, and he wasn't involved in the shooting. And he then became a conscientious objector and left the army, and he had a lot of support from other soldiers who agreed with what he was trying to do, who thought the war was wrong, but they didn't think it was worth it to become a conscientious objector, so and lose their benefits and all that stuff. So the funny thing was that he talked about being demonized by people because he had originally joined the army. Even though he had left the army, they didn't care. He was still the bad guy. He was a baby killer and all this stuff. And I just think it's funny that people would do that. And for years and years and years, we support the military unquestioningly. And now suddenly we are going to demonize people who are conscientious objectors. Does that make any sense? It's kind of stupid, don't you think? Thanks for watching.